Did you guys have that car in your family that was like this, like the Wagoneer? Like, do you remember a car that spanned a length of time?
Not a toy. We had we were a van family,
Okay.
and we had a Ford Aerostar that I learned to drive on.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, like the seats would come in and out, of that. It was like, it kind of became like our like spare car. My mom and dad, we had another car as well.
Yeah.
But it was like a sort of cherry red Ford Aerostar, sort of glittery.
Oh, yeah.
That was a car that we had for like too long, probably.
Okay, so we had a couple of family cars, but it's family like outside of the extended family.
Sure.
My mom had a Toyota Corolla that was hers. Then she gave to my older sister. My older sister gave to our cousin, our first cousin, and then our first cousin gave it to her younger sister. The Corolla was in our family in total 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's how the Japanese
I was
do.
going to say, that's quite an
They
endorsement.
don't F around.
Yeah, we
right?
had a
So that's
Toyota
the
too.
Corolla. But the car that we had in our house, so when I was born, or maybe, my dad had, well, I wasn't born. It's a 1979. He had a 1979 pink Eldorado Cadillac with pink leather interior.
Whoa.
Vinyl top, 8-track playing. Michael McDonald was his favorite, so I heard a lot of that.
Yeah.
And that was the jam. But I only had that for a little while until we had, this is very African-American of me, we moved to a Fleetwood Cadillac.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
And the Fleetwood was that's the car that I learned to drive on. So when dad passed away, mom has the car, and we shared that car all the way through high school, and she had it through college, et cetera. Probably had it for about 14, 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Lot of
Chris?
Yeah. Cars. My dad is a car person.
Yes.
He has a classic car. I have a classic car. My brother has a classic car.
Side note, real quick, I'm gonna let you finish your story, because when I found out that you got nominated for your first Emmy Award, you were working with your dad on a car in the garage, and I told you that you had gotten nominated. You're like, what?
Yeah.
You were the one that told him.
Yeah.
I hit him up, and I was like,
I was literally under the car. I was under the car. My phone started buzzing, like, and I was like, "What is going on?" And I checked, and Sterling had texted, and right after that was Chrissy, and then the group text went off, and I was like, "Oh, something's happening today," because being nominated for it was so far out of like my realm of like that I didn't even know today was the day that that happened.
Yes, sir.
And so I had to do a bunch of press from the garage. And so I zoomed into a bunch of like interviews from the garage covered in sweat, gargaries. But yeah, growing up, we were also a van family, and and we filtered through a couple of like the MPV or the Previa.
I remember the Previa. I can see it. It's like kind of a weird snout.
Yeah, a real ugly car.
Yeah.
And then once we got through like trashing a couple of vans, there was a moment where my parents, I think, had like this Jack and Rebecca moment where it's like, all right, it's time for an adult car.
And
like,
what was it?
It was a 1990, not far off from that Wagoneer, because the Wagoneer is also a 90, an 89, 90. Toyota Land Cruiser. So the same type of vehicle, but it was like the adult car.
Yeah.
And we had that car, for like 20, 25 years.
Wow.
When my parents sold it, it had 300,000 miles.
Yes, sir.
Again, I have all, like as I was watching this episode, I have all these flashbacks of things that happened with that car, the places we went in that car, the people I kissed in that car,
Yes, sir.
you know, like the dances I went to in that car, you know, like the drive-in movies that open up the back gate, like all of these things, like, and I've always, I don't know, there's something, the idea of a family car has always just been in me because of my dad's affection for cars and his, you know, I still have my first car that I got, the Mustang. I've told you guys this story.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that I had this car, I sold it in the year 2000. And then when we came back here to do This Is Us, I was like, I have like people now who,
I'm going to hunt this car down.
And my lawyer gave me the number of private investigator, and the private investigator found the car and bought the car back, restored the car. It's in the garage that I'll keep. It's like a family heirloom now. Yeah, you know. So yeah, there's something about the family car that
resonates.
Yeah, for me specifically.
Yeah,
this whole episode was, and of course I'd have the Wagoneer. which is now
the Wagoneer is in your
our family
home.
car, our daily driver. Dropped Bear off this morning.
And you knew you were gonna get it like you were like you had your eyes on it.
Well, again, it was like a realization. I'm like, oh, at the end of this, they're going to sell those.
Yeah.
Because Rachel saw it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the same love for classics that I do. But when she saw it on the show, she was like, that
is a cool car.
is a cool car.
Yeah, man.
And I like stored that away. And I was like, okay, all right. Okay. Yeah. And then we sorted it out at the end of the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah.